All right, today we're diving into a pretty revolutionary way of thinking about our homes. I'm talking about a concept that promises perfect comfort while using almost no energy.
Yeah, I want you to just take a second and really imagine that. A house that's always perfectly comfortable. Doesn't matter if it's the dead of winter or the middle of a summer heat wave. And you're not hearing a furnace kick on or an AC unit humming away. That sounds like pure fantasy, right?
Well, guess what? It's not. This idea is very real, and it has a name, the passive house.
So, that's the key term we're going to unpack today. And something you got to know right off the bat. Passive house isn't a brand name, okay? It's a really rigorous design standard, kind of like a whole philosophy for building, that makes this incredible level of comfort and efficiency actually happen.
So what is it really? At its heart, the whole idea is actually surprisingly simple.
The whole goal, the entire point, is to keep you perfectly comfortable inside, using the absolute least amount of energy possible. It's all about being incredibly smart with the design, right from the very beginning.
And this, of course, brings us to the really cool part, the engineering, the magic that makes it all possible.
So, how does it actually work? This is the question everyone asks, right? It almost feels like it's breaking the laws of physics, but it's not. It's just a brilliant way of using them. And it all boils down to 5 main ideas, 5 core principles, all working together perfectly. Okay, so these are the 5 pillars of a passive house. You can think of them like instruments in an orchestra. Each one has a specific job, and when they all play together, you get this symphony of comfort. Let's break them down, one by one.
First up, super insulation. We're talking about wrapping the entire house, walls, roof, even the floor, in a super thick, unbroken blanket of insulation. It's basically like a high-tech thermos. It just keeps the inside temperature stable, It keeps the warmth in during the winter and keeps the heat out during the summer.
All right, next up is total airtightness. Think about a regular house for a second. It's losing a ton of energy through thousands of little tiny gaps and cracks you can't even see. Well, a passive house is meticulously sealed to get rid of all those leaks, so that precious warm or cool air you have inside, it stays inside.
Okay, the windows. They're doing double duty here. First, they're triple glazed, which makes them amazing insulators. But second, and this is key, they are strategically placed, usually facing south, to catch the sun's warmth, especially in the winter. That's passive solar heating right there, basically free heat from the sun.
Okay, but wait. If the house is totally airtight, how do you get fresh air? Great question, and that's where this incredibly clever system comes in. It's constantly bringing in fresh, filtered air from the outside. But here's the genius part. Before it pushes the old, stale air out, it runs it through a heat exchanger that pulls out over 80% of the heat and transfers it to the fresh air coming in. So you get perfect air quality and you don't lose all that warmth you work so hard to keep.
And finally, we have smart materials. Think of this like turning parts of your house into a thermal battery. We're talking about using materials with what's called a thermal mass, things like a concrete floor or thick plaster walls. These dense materials soak up the sun's heat all day long. Then, at night, when it gets cooler, they slowly release that heat back into the house, keeping the temperature just right. It's incredible.
So when you put all these pieces together, the house becomes so ridiculously efficient that it starts getting its heat from sources you would never even think of. We're talking about the sunlight coming through the windows, sure, but also the body heat from the people inside, even the tiny bit of waste heat coming off your fridge or your TV.
And here's the kicker. All of that free heat is often enough, like enough to keep the entire house at a comfortable 20 degrees Celsius or 68 Fahrenheit. No furnace needed. That's a total game changer in how we think about heating our homes.
Okay, so we've talked about how it works. Now let's get to the payoff. What does this whole approach actually get you in the real world? The results are, they're pretty impressive.
90%? Seriously, just let that number hang in the air for a second. It's a huge number, but 90% of what?
It means a passive house uses up to 90% less energy for heating compared to a typical, brand new building. And I'm not talking about some old, drafty house. I'm talking about compared to a standard, new build. The savings are just staggering.
And this chart just shows it perfectly. Look at that tall bar on the left. That's the heating energy for a traditional home. Now look to the right. See that tiny little sliver? That's a passive house. Seeing it like this, the difference is just undeniable.
And get this, it's not just about winter heating.
The exact same things that keep the house warm in the winter, that super insulation, the airtight seal, they also keep unwanted heat out in the summer. So what does that mean? It means you get amazing year-round comfort, often without needing an air conditioner at all.
Which brings us to our final and maybe the most important point here. Because this isn't just about building a better house, it's really about a much smarter way of thinking about energy itself.
So here's the bottom line. The payoff here is a true win-win-win. It's a win for the planet because you're slashing carbon emissions. It's a win for your wallet with way lower energy bills. And it's a win for you personally with just incredible comfort and much healthier air to breathe.
And this quote, this really just says it all perfectly. Instead of always focusing on how we can produce more energy, even clean energy, what if we just built things so they barely needed any energy to begin with?
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. The technology exists, we know for a fact that it works, so could this smart design be the future for all of our buildings? Our homes? Our schools? Our offices? It's something to think about.